Hello, teacher. Good evening. Okay, noted.
Hello. Yes, we're going to start in 3 minutes, please, Micaela, and we are going to practice and work with some activities. All right? Right. So it's 48. The 3 minutes has passed. We're going to start working with you two girls. Thanks for being here on time. Micaela, Karen. First, we're going to practice a little bit with this element that you see over here, just to review what we covered on Monday, right? Causative verbs. Remember that we use causative verbs to make someone, right, do something for us, but we can use degrees to talk about that, right? Make for obligation, have for professional service, get for persuasion, let for permission, and help for giving aid, right? So it varies from obligation to simply helping someone. But all of them work in the same way. But let's remember that some of them are going to be used with the base verb and some of them are going to be used with infinitive or optionally with the base verb. So who can tell me which of these verbs can be used with infinitive? Who remembers that?
Get help, but help we can also use with infinitive are the base form of the verb.
All right, very good. Thank you, Karen. That's correct. Get and help. Those are the only ones that are going to be used with infinitive. The rest of them have to use what? The base verb. Okay, and again, sometimes it's like even automatic, right? What you want to do, you want to say, I made them to do, but that's incorrect, right? You need to say, I made them do, I made them complete, right? Base form. So make plus base form, have base form, get infinitive, let base form, help base form, or infinitive. All right, and we practice on Monday. So this is just to give you an idea again. As you can see, make for obligation. For example, they make the students complete the assignments. It can be in present, past, future, any tense that you want, right? So remember that. Have, it's also strong, but it's not obligation. This is more like a professional, right, agreement. You hire someone, you pay someone so that that someone, that person, right, can do something for you. So we had a painter paint our apartment. Mary always has a hairdresser do her hair, right? Get persuasion, more with friends, someone with which perhaps you have a level of trust, or simply someone with which you can have a connection, right? A lineal connection. So convince, persuade. Lourdes lets her son to help her with the dishes every night, because that's not obligation. That's persuasion in this case. If it's obligation, it's better to use make. Let, the same, permission. She let her boyfriend go to the party, okay, because he needs permission. And then you have help. That is two options, right? As Karen said, infinitive or base form. But as I told you, it's more natural and more common to use base form. Okay, Oliver helped me do my homework. If you say to do is correct, but base form is always better. So this is the practice. You need to, here you have one idea or one sentence. John bought some meat. And here you have a clarification. His mother forced him. So what can you do here? All right, I'm not going to tell you exactly what you have to do, but if we were learning about causative verbs, how can you use those causative verbs to give me that idea, but using a causative verb structure? What do you say? This time anybody can start. Who wants to start? If not, I'm going to pick one.
Teacher, I can start with John's mother.
Good, yes, that would be even a better idea than just his mother, correct? How would it be?
John's mother makes John buy some meat.
Good. I think it's correct. Only one detail. As this is in past, it's better if we keep the past idea. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Very good. Perfect. Just one more time, please, to have everything clear.
Okay. John's mother made John buy some meat.
Very good. Perfect. Thank you, Karen. That's correct. John's mother, right, made him, you can use directly him to not mention John again, buy some meat. And we are using buy because we are already conjugating the main verb in past, which is make, right? That is going to become made. Okay, good. That's one. So we have that done very well. Remember then that we can use any of the causative verbs, but one of them is going to work better according to the clarification that you have in parentheses. So let's try this one with you, please. Micaela, number 2. This is key to understand what verb you need to convince. So what do you say? What can you say here?
Okay. Peter and your father will get them to study law.
Okay, good, great. I think it works great. Peter and Joseph, you can, when you have at the end of like sh or sh, it's better if you repeat like s at the end, Joseph. All right, so good. Peter and Joseph's father, right, will get them to study law, right? Will get them. And we're using future as we're using here. Great. Thank you, Michaela. Good. I think that works great. Number 3, let's try this one with you, Lucia. What do you say about number 3?
The engineer and I
here to help build. Yes,
sorry.
you need to think of who is causing who do what. Okay, for example, if you say hire here, you know that someone is paying, right? Who is paying? Who is paying who
Me.
here?
Me.
Good. So you are going to be the subject and the engineer has to be the object. Okay, here he's going to be the object. Here they used, for example, Karen and Michaela because they were using the possession, right? Here, Peter and Joseph's father. This is the one that is convincing, and John's mother, right? But here it's only you. So you are only going to be the subject. All right.
And instead of hire, I have to use the verbs, the causative verbs, right?
Correct. Which one is better for hire, Lucia? It will be make, have, get, let, or help.
I remember that we already see in the slides, but I'm not sure if it's get or let. Get.
Close to that one, actually before that one, it's going to be have. Okay, we always use have for professional services. Okay, get is going to be more for persuasion. Okay, if you are with a friend, or if you are not going to pay that person, but you are able to persuade that person, use get. But if you're going to pay money directly, so it's a professional service, you have to use have. Okay, so how would it be in that case?
Could be I have the engineer. I'm not sure.
Yes, it's weird. That's why, as I said on Monday, it's very important not to translate have, because it's correct. What you're saying is correct. But if you try to translate have in this situation, it's going to be very difficult to understand. You only need to understand have when you're using that word here as I paid someone to do something for me. All right. So in this case, yes, it's correct. I have the engineer, but you need to analyze what is the best time expression, or what is the best tense. What is this tense that they are using here?
I am having the engineer.
Very good.
For building the house. Yeah.
Good. And after that, remember that after have, you use the base verb of the main verb, and the main verb is
building. So it's to build.
To build. Exactly. The house.
Teacher, sorry for this question, but yeah, my mind is in a lapsus. It's like building. The difference between the base form and the infinitive is that the base form is +2, right?
Correct. And the base form is only the verb, like build. Infinitive is to build, and gerund, or the present participle, is building. Good. So good. Just to verify, I know that you told me about the Monday, so there's no problem about that. But I'm going to show you this one. The formula is always going to be like this. The subject is the person that is doing the action, so that the other person, right, does something for him or for her. So after the subject, you use have, but in the tense that is better in that situation. Here, for example, you only have past, present, and future, right? But you can use present continuous, past continuous, present perfect, past perfect, models, okay? Any tense that you want. And then you have the person or the group that is receiving that from you or from the subject. And then the action with have, it's always going to be in the base form, as you said, only the verb without to, without ing. Okay, so in your case, it would be I am having, right, the engineer or an engineer build my house or the house, right? So you plus the verb in the tense plus the person receiving that action plus the verb in the base form plus the complement for that idea. All right. So let me know if you have any questions about this one, Lucia.
No, now it's clear. Thank you, Professor.
Very good. No, you're very welcome. So one more time, to review: make for obligation, have for professional services, get for persuasion, let for permission, right? And help for just giving aid, right? Help, there's no way to get lost over there. Let's go back to this place. So good, we have 3 so far, right? And they were correct. Yeah, number 2 and number 3. I'm going back to you then, please, Karen. What do you say about number 4?
Okay, Mary's grandmother let her go to the party.
Correct. Very good. No observations. We know that let is the same in the 3 possible conjugations, right? Let. Present, past, and past participle. So good. Mary's grandmother let her, right, go to the party. We also use base verb. Thank you, Karen. Number 5 is for you, please, Micaela.
The system. The system. um, Sorry, I forgot the meaning of height.
Yes, aid is exactly the same as help.
Help. Okay. The assistant helped us to finish the project.
Helped, yes, with help you can use base verb or infinitive, right? So both are okay. Just be careful with the pronunciation. Help, remember, if it's not a T or a D before the ED, it's going to be only like T. So it's going to be helped.
The
Helped.
assistant helped us to
Us.
finish.
And that one, correct, very good. Just the word US, it's like that, but the pronunciation is going to be more like us.
Us.
So one more time, please. The last time, Michaela.
The assistant helped us finish the project.
Perfect. Very good. So here, finish the project or to finish the project, both are going to be okay with help, but the most common and more natural is only base verb, right? Finish. Great. Thank you, Michaela. Very good. And the last one is for you, please, Lucia.
Teacher, in this case, is more responsibility. I don't know if it's considered as an obligation or more like a let, like a permission.
Yes, actually, in this case, it's going to be in the middle. And one more time, you're going to work with the same verb. Have is going to be for professional service. And I didn't mention that, Lucia, sorry, but it's also for responsibility. Because when you give a responsibility to someone, it's usually because that person has a function to fulfill, right? A responsibility because you are paying him or her, right, to do something in a specific. So it's going to be also with have. So have, professional service, and responsibility.
Okay, thank you. So could be the principal have the teacher had the teacher a speech.
Good. Only one thing is missing. After had the teacher, you need the main verb. What is the main verb?
To give a speech.
And in the base form, right? So it's going to be
a speech. Yeah.
And without to, only give.
Give. Oh, okay.
Again, it sounds weird, I know, because usually we don't work with have like that, but it's going to be one more time. The principal had the teacher give a speech. All right. Yeah. Why? Because if you use the infinitive form, it's going to be incorrect, to give. Or if you use ing, the only possible way is give. Only give.
Only give. Okay.
All right. Good. Very good. Thank you, Lucia. There you go. So those are the 6 examples or sentences to practice. So one last time, okay, before finishing with this practice. And remember, this is not new. We covered this one, but one more time. Make is for obligation, where you can read, right? Force or require someone to do something. Have is for professional service or for responsibility, as it says here, but we add professional service because sometimes it's very related to that. I would say most of the times. Then get, convincing or persuading someone, all right? Let, it's only permission, okay, only permission. And help, one more time, is to give aid to someone, right? And to give aid is to help someone. I don't know, there was a very famous concert, right? Live Aid. And for example, if you watched Queen's movies, right? Bohemian Rhapsody, the name of the concert had this name, okay? Live Aid is like helping people live. And because of that concert, they were able to donate, all right, a lot of money to a lot of people who needed that money. Okay, so remember about that. To remember this word, you can remember about that concert. Okay, Live Aid, it's to help. And that, okay, with that, we are finishing. This is just to reinforce what you know. Now, we have a topic that it's not like, it's going to be easy to cover this topic. I'm going to show you. It's interesting, but it's easy. But before going to this topic, you're going to have your first writing exercise. Okay, I just want to show you that after this writing exercise, you're going to be covering so, neither, to, and either. And it's really interesting. And you're going to learn in a formal way how to say this, because I know that many people use these words, but they do it very informally. For example, when you say me too or me neither, it's informal. Okay, and it's incorrect and wrong when you have a professional conversation. There's a formal way to say those ideas. Okay, but before going there, remember that we have always our file. If you have access to the class, you can go there, but just in case, I'm also sending the link, right? You're going to write as we always did, but this time it's going to be 2 paragraphs. All right, we're going to write 2 paragraphs. And I'm not going to tell you the punctuation rules. Okay, I told you once, if you work with me, at least Karen and Lucia, try to remember. Okay, try to remember the punctuation rules that you know for commas, semicolon, periods, dashes, and so on and so forth. Okay, try to remember when to use commas, when not to use them, when to use the fanboys, right? How to connect to complete ideas. If you don't know, don't worry, work in the way that you can. But if you know, try to apply that knowledge. All right, use please your own names, and down below your examples, you're going to write just any type of experience, as we always do, but I want you to use at least 3 of these causative verbs. Okay, tell me any experience that you want to tell me, but it's going to be in 2 paragraphs. So try to give a lot of details. And in between that experience of 2 paragraphs, okay, 2 paragraphs, it means 2 paragraphs, I'm going to give you a clue. It's going to be more or less from 8 to 10 complete ideas. Okay, 8 to 10 complete ideas. It means that each paragraph is going to have 4 to 5 complete ideas. Okay, anything that comes to your mind. And again, try to make it fluent, in the sense, try to connect the ideas with interesting words, right? You have and, but, so, nor, you have however, in addition, you have first, you have to finish, you have then, you have additionally, you have afterwards, after this, after that, etc. Okay, try to use those words to connect your ideas, but one more time, 2 paragraphs, all right? And you need to use at least 3 of these causative verbs. Okay, that's the minimum. You can use more, but 3 is the only thing that I'm asking. That's the only thing that you need to know. And I don't know if you have any questions before giving you the time to do it, please. Let me know.
The experience is free, right?
Yes, anything that comes to your mind. It doesn't matter if it's like something that happened, in fact, or something that you're making up. It doesn't matter. All right, the idea is that you have one experience over there, and that you have a minimum of 3 causative verbs. All right, good. So let's do it, please. I'm going to give you the time again, as it's going to be the 2 paragraphs, and you need 4 to 5 complete ideas. We're going to have 9 minutes. Okay, we're going to have 9 minutes to try to finish this. It will be good, very good, if you get to write the 2 paragraphs in those 9 minutes. All right, if not, do your best and try to have at least 1.5. But from the 10 ideas or 8 ideas, try to have at least 7 or 8 completed. All right, 7, let's say, or 6. But that's it. Okay, I'm going to then turn off my microphone and my camera. I'm going to start with the timer. I'm just going to give you access to this. And let's write, please. Any experience that you want, 2 paragraphs, 8 to 10 complete ideas. And we have 9 minutes, please. Let's do it. Don't forget to ask me if you have any questions.
Teacher, sorry, can you send the link of the course? Where are the presentation?
Yes, of course, Nazarena. Give me 1 second. I'm going to start with the timer once again. Also, are all of you on Pearson? It's very important that all of you are there, because remember that we already assigned Unit 1, and it's very important that you can finish that unit until Friday. Okay, the link is in the chat, Nazarena. All
Yeah,
right, so yes, tell me.
sorry, Professor, about the Pearson is with the same username, right? I upload, but with the same color, green is good.
The last
We-
one,
I mean-
yes, green. It's still the same product, so it's also green, correct?
Yeah, because I used my past user, so I
Yes.
never received any new message for a new user like the past model.
No, the last 3 courses, which are 8, 10, 11, and 12, they are with the same product. So it's
Okay.
the same product and the same username. But just in case, I'm going to show you to verify that it's this green product you're talking about.
Yeah, I
This
thought,
one, right?
yes.
Good.
Thank
Very
you.
good. No, you're welcome. So let's do it, please. Now I'm going to start with the 10 minutes once again. And again, any experience that you want, anything that comes to your mind in 9 minutes. All right, I think you're doing very good. Just remember that there are many strategies to write. You can first write without checking all the mistakes that you have, right? So write everything, leave the mistakes. And once you have the 2 paragraphs with the 5 or 8 complete ideas, check one more time correct your mistakes, add new information, add new connectors. All right, try to do that step by step. That's one strategy, but the one that works better for you is very good. All right, keep working, please. And again, try to second, then afterwards. One more minute, please, and we check. Okay, so we are over there. Please be finishing your ideas. I think my connection is not working good. You're going to let me know if you can hear me well. All right. But let's work with your paragraphs. Again, finish the last ideas. I think it's done. And one more time, if you have some difficulty thinking of ideas, it's a good idea that you practice here with me, that you feel comfortable with these elements, and that if you have some mistakes and you don't understand, okay, because I know that Google has a corrector. Sometimes Google is going to give you the best option, but sometimes it's just going to give you the option that feels better for that situation, but it's not always the best according to what you want to say. And again, the idea of practicing here, I'm not going to give you points if you have mistakes. Leave them in the way they are so that I can help you understand why they are a mistake. Okay. Now, well, Nazarena left. I think she's going to be back because she wrote her paragraph. I think it's working good. Yes, she wrote a good paragraph. So I hope she's back. But let's start. Karen, actually, you're not going to read yours. This is yours, Karen, but please, Lucia, you are going to read Karen's paragraphs. Okay, let's read everything, please.
All right. 2 months ago, I was looking for passengers to travel to Argentina with my friends. So I was not sure about the dates because until this moment, my mother did not know anything about this trip. But my friends made me decide this moment. The reason why I took a quick decision was the price of the passages. After that, I helped them buy the passages. To continue, I was thinking the way to tell my mother about the trip. However, one of my friends suggests to me that this trip will be one of my best experiences. Finally, I talked with my mother and I got her permission for the trip, but it was not an easy job.
Thank you very much, Lucia. Good. Now let's analyze. In general, I think you have very interesting words connecting the ideas. You feel, right, that you go from one idea to the next one and you have connectors, which is very, very good. All right. Let me give you again now short feedback so that we are 4 of us now. I'm going to try to give the feedback, all right, in a deep way, but I'm also going to try to leave time for your partners. So 2 months ago, comma, I was looking for, you have this one, and I want to verify why is, or in which way you are using this word, Karen?
It's the ticket of to travel in a plane. I don't know how to say it.
Yes, just that one. Actually, it's better if you say just for tickets to travel.
Okay.
Okay, tickets. So I'm going to change that one. And I'm going to be changing, all right, some of them. So looking for tickets to travel to Argentina, right, with my friends. So remember that after so, you don't use another comma, only so. If it's a consequence, all right, you can use so with comma when it's like the beginning of an idea. When you say, so what are we going to do, right? It's like you introduce an idea with so and comma after so. But if so is consequence, don't use comma after so, only before. Okay, the meaning is going to be different. So comma, so I was not sure about the dates because until this moment, here you're going to use two commas. Why? Because, or you can use dashes. Here you can use 2 commas and here, because until this moment is going to be a time clarification. Why? Because your subject is not until this moment, right? Your subject is my mother. right? So it means that until this moment is time expression that is clarifying, but in the word form of a paraphrase. Okay, in Spanish, sometimes here you can even use parentheses, but it's not good. And you're going to see that in English, you don't use a lot of parentheses, but instead of parentheses, you can also use the dash, okay? Double dash. So those are the two options that you have mainly, Karen, the M dash or the comma, okay? We're going to use the commas to keep that idea. So because, comma, until this moment, comma, my mother did not know anything about this trip. Period. Good. Here, but it's okay. Usually, again, in articles in CNN, BBC, and many other articles, and even online, you find but after periods. Okay, and it's not incorrect, but if you want to have a very academic writing, again, if this works for the TOEFL, for Cambridge, and anything, it's better not to use a period with but, because but is too weak and a period is too strong. It's way better to use a semicolon, okay? And only when you feel that you had too many commas before and too many commas afterwards. But even if you feel that this idea is too strong, you can decide not to use comma, all right? With that also, you don't use comma afterwards, only but. Semicolon, but my friends made me decide this moment. Another option is that instead of but, you can use any of the other transitional words that you know. For example, nonetheless. Okay, nonetheless, and with nonetheless, you use comma. Again, only if you feel that but is too weak for this situation. Okay, so semicolon, but my friends maybe decide. For, perhaps, you can say on or for this moment. Okay. The reason why I took a quick decision was the price of the tickets. All right. After that, comma, I help them buy the ticket one more time. Okay. Or instead, actually, as you mentioned that before, buy them, directly them. Okay. In order not to repeat the idea one more time. Then to continue, I was thinking, after thinking, you always use prepositions. Okay, you have two options, right? You think of or you think about something. All right, so here you're going to use of, away, or of the way. It's also okay. But the main idea is that you need a preposition to tell my mother about the trip. Period, however, very good. One of my friends suggested, all right, me that this trip will be one of the best experiences. Finally, right, I've talked with my mother, and here, remember, this is optional, but you can use optional commas to avoid having a mistake, because you have another subject that is the same subject. It's the same tense, but as you're using the subject one more time, you can use the comma, okay, to avoid confusion. And I got her permission for the trip, but it was not an easy job. So good. Those are my only details. I think everything else, mainly the connectors that you're using, Karen, they are working very, very good. Just those observations and recommendations. I don't know if you have any questions, Karen. Let me know, please. No? Okay, good. Let's continue. Yeah, Karen? No? All right. Let's go with you. And please, Nazarena, you are going to read Micaela's exercise.
Okay, teacher. So I first?
Yes, let's read from this part, please, Nazarena, last month, and read everything
Okay.
until this part.
Okay. Last month, the season of marketing events started in my company. Because of that, we need to work overtime, but all of us are very committed with the objective, happy members for the company. Marketing work can be hard because we need to balance creativity with a limited budget. But I think all the work is worth when we are in the main event and we can see the great results.
Thank you very much, Nazarena. Good. So again, I think it's great. Only some details related to the prepositions mainly, and objects, and also punctuation changes. Okay, so let's start. Good. I was saying, remember, we have to avoid using the last month. I saw that one. It's very common, right? Many people say the last month. Let's try to avoid that one. It's not incorrect, but it's not the best option. Okay, I'm just mentioning because I saw that some of you were making that mistake. Later on, you corrected that one. Just take that into account. Okay, the season of marketing events started in my company. Good. Because of that, yes, we need. Now, here you are talking about past. Here, if you are giving a general idea, it's okay to use present. But if you want to give the idea about a past event that happened and it's an experience that you got or an experience that you got, you can keep using past. Okay, so it's going to be up to you there, Michaela, to keep the feeling of a past activity. You can keep past tenses. Okay, so because of that, we needed to work overtime. Now, when you have a fanboy, this is a fanboy or a coordinated conjunction, and you have one more time a complete idea. All of us, subject, are, verb, very committed, complement. So you have to use a comma. All right, if not, again, it's going to be a mistake. At least in formal writing, it's going to be a mistake. So we need to work overtime, comma, but all of us are very, and again, here, if you want to keep the idea of past, you can use also past, very committed. And here you use a different preposition that is going to be to. All right, sorry, to the objective. Now here, this is the objective that you got, right, Michaela? Happy members for the company.
Yes, this is the like the slogan, maybe.
Okay, good. Now in English, more than using parentheses, is more common to use at the end. If this is a clarification, you can use colon or dash. Okay, to use parentheses is not going to be as common as in Spanish. So my two recommendations are that you can use colon. Okay, sorry, that's the colon. And you set the name. And if you want, and if it's the real name, you can use even quotation marks over there. Okay, only if you want to do it in that way. The other way that it's less formal, but it's also correct and more common than the parentheses, is only using dash. Okay, and this is the M dash. The M dash is two N dashes together. Okay, it's the long dash. If you only use one dash, it's also going to be incorrect. Okay, like that. Only that is incorrect because you use the N dash for adjectives. All right, but you use the M dash, double dash, for replacing commas and for replacing colons. And you use this one to give final clarifications or extra explanations about something. Okay, so you paraphrase, you extend your idea, you explain something, you give something related to the previous idea with dash or with colon. All right, and here you're going to say of the company. All right, so my advice here, use dash or colon instead of parentheses. Okay, it's going to be way more related. Then marketing work can be hard. Okay, or marketing related work, you can say as well. Okay, like this. It's like everything related to marketing, and here you use the dash. Okay, this is a complex adjective. You have one field, and then you say related, and this is one adjective. Okay, it means that everything that is related to marketing. Okay, so marketing related work, that can replace that, can be hard because we don't use comma. Okay, because it's a subordinating conjunction and we don't use comma with that. And because we need to balance creativity in a limited budget. Good. And here, as I was saying, the period is too strong for a but. Okay, with but you usually use comma or semicolon if you have too many commas before or after. So here we are going to use comma, but, or if you want to make a big change, you can use semicolon and a transitional word that can be, for example, however, all right, or can be nevertheless. Okay, that's another alternative that you have, and all of them with commas. Okay, and again, only if you feel that it's too weak. Sometimes but can be too weak for a big change. So you have that option, comma, but, or semicolon, however, semicolon, nevertheless. I think that all the work is after word, you always say an object. If you don't want to say the object, you have to say it. Okay, it's worth it. It's worth going to the party. It's worth studying English. Or I know because it's worth it. Okay, but always it, always an object. If not, it's going to be incorrect. Okay, every time after the expression worth, to be worth, object. When we are in the main event and we can see the great results. Very good. And here, this is optional, okay? This is not obligatory, this comma, but it's optional if you want to connect these ideas and put emphasis in that this is another event, okay? And we can say the great results. No, it's okay, all right? This is not going to be a mistake. You can have that in parentheses. You can clarify that only one set of results. Just that one for you, Michaela. I don't know if you have any questions before going to your partners.
It's okay. Thank you, teacher.
Okay, thank you. And later on, okay, I'm showing you this and I'm making you practice like this because I'm going to give you elements to understand when you have to use commas or when you don't have to, and some other details, all right? And again, thanks for your patience. We're only going to be working with these long writing exercises at least once every week. Okay, then it's going to be more like speaking. I know that it's all right, it takes its time, but it's good that you can be here with me reading this. Now, this one is going to be for you, please, Karen. Let's read Nazarena's exercise, please.
Okay, when the COVID began and all people stayed at home, it was a really difficult time for many families to get used to a new reality. So, while the months were going, many people were more used to doing things in their houses, even when they created a lot of new things to do or have at home. One big example about this time of COVID was the increase of dogs at home, and my family were not the exception. My parents let us have a dog who was a very difficult dog. My brother helped me to educate the dog, but even with his help, it was very difficult because it was not an easy dog. However, after 5 months, we found a trainer. My dog had a trainer educated him for 2 months and was very helpful. Now it is an incredible and nice dog.
Thank you, Karen. Good. Again, let's take a look at that. Little by little, as you were able to listen to your partner's corrections, I'm going to be mentioning something superficially, okay? Remember that when you have two clauses with when, one of them is the dependent clause and the other one is the independent clause. But if you don't want to memorize that, just memorize this rule. When is at the beginning, you need a comma in the middle. When is in the middle, you don't need a comma, right? So when is at the beginning, so you need a comma. Where's the next statement? Here, right? So when the COVID began and all people stayed at home, it was, so here you have to use a comma, all right? It was a really difficult time for many families to get used to a new reality. Okay, here, so it feels more than the beginning of a new idea that is not related to anything else. It feels that it's a consequence, right? So if it's a consequence, let's not use so with comma. Instead, again, try to use one of the options for consequence. You have therefore, thus, as a result, consequently, okay? All of those are going to be consequence. So thus, while the months were going, comma, good, many people were more used to doing things great. This is very good. Okay, to with ing. Also, many people only say used to do, but that's past habit. This is not a past habit. This is like to be accustomed in the past. That it's similar, but it's not the same. So more used to doing things in their houses, even here, even when they created a lot, even when this feels like a thing that it's connected. So you can have that as a final clarification with comma. Okay, comma, even when they created a lot of new things to do or have at home. Okay, this have perhaps you can try to look for an alternative because it's not like an activity, right? But to do, or I don't know, right? Anything related to just kill the time. One big example about this time of COVID was the increase of dogs, okay? And my family were not exception. Good, my parents let us have a dog, and clarification with comma, who was a very difficult dog. Okay, you can use that one with also animals, or also you can use which if you want to be very formal. Okay, because remember, who is going to be mainly related to people, but of course, nowadays you can talk about animals like they are people, right? So it's also good, but the best option in grammar is going to be which. The difficult dog. My brother helped me to educate my dog. Even this, okay, but comma, right? But even with this help, it was, and this is another extra comma because this is clarification. But even with this help, it was very difficult because it was not an easy talk. Okay, however, after 5 months, here another comma. Why? Because this is the subject and this is time expression. Okay, we found a trainer. My dog had a trainer. Remember that after have, if you want to use the causative verb, you use the base verb. Okay, had a trainer, educate him for 2 months and was very helpful. Good, no commas before because you don't have another subject. And now, comma, because time expression, it's an incredible and nice stuff. Okay, just that one, Nazarena, on your side. I don't know if you have any questions about those little corrections.
No, teacher, thank you so much.
No, you're very welcome. It was very good. Again, very little details. Great in general. Thank you, Nazarena.
Thank you.
And this is yours. No, you're welcome. And please, if I'm not wrong, Micaela, we're going to read this with you, please.
Okay. In 2021, the Human Rights Commission had me hired for a project with indigenous people. It was one of the most amazing experiences because I learned a lot, and my networking improved a lot. Afterwards, the commission helped different social groups to protect their territories and respect their identity. On one hand, the leader of indigenous territories led the commission research the culture and the collective rights. In the other hand, the commission let the indigenous share empirical knowledge, the access to justice.
Okay, thank you very much, Micaela. Good. Again, interesting. I think this is a complex topic, so we have very interesting words and vocabulary. And again, I'm going to mainly focus here on the details about punctuation and the connection of ideas. All right. So here, as this is time expression, right? And again, many times you're going to see that this is omitted in articles, many public posts that you have online. But again, in academic writing, the best option is to always create a separation between whatever is first, that is not the subject. Okay, it can be time, it can be place, it can be any phrase, but if that's not the subject, a comma is always a good idea. Why? Because the real subject here is this one, right? And then this is the verb. Okay, and here we're going to just correct with that. So the Human Rights Commission had me. Now, this is a different one. This is not causative verb. Why? Because to have a causative verb, you need to say that the Human Rights Commission paid you, Lucia, to hire someone else. Okay, to hire someone else. This is correct, but this is more like a passive voice way to say that they hired you. So it's perfect if you say had me hired. Okay, but it's not causative verb. It's a close structure, but it's not causative. Okay, but it's also good. So they hired you, in other words, right? But this is passive voice, and it's very formal. It works very good for a project with indigenous peoples. Good. This is because we're talking about ethnicities, right? And then we can use peoples with S. Good. It was one of the most amazing experiences because I learned a lot and my networking improved a lot. So here, why do we need to use a comma? Because your networking is another subject, right? And your networking improved a lot. Good. Afterwards, great, the commission helped different social groups to protect. Okay, very good. This is causative verb. Their territories and respect their identity. No commas because the same subject. Good. On here, you need to say on the one hand. Okay, that's going to be the expression. On the one hand, comma, the leaders of indigenous territories led the commission research. Remember, if you want to use here causative verb, you're going to use the base verb. Okay, so let the commission research the culture and the collective rights. Here, when you have on the one hand, the other was going to be on the other hand, but you have to use semicolon or period. Okay, if you only use a comma, it's not going to be correct. So, on the other hand, comma. Okay, so on the one hand, comma, complete idea, period, semicolon. On the other hand, comma, and the second complete idea. The commission let indigenous share, right? If you want to use again the passive causative, it has to be with the base, okay? Only with the base. The commission let the indigenous share empiric knowledge, access to justice, okay? Knowledge, the access. What do you mean here when you say the access to justice?
Yeah, access to justice is something that we use like an international standard for collective rights. But yeah,
Okay.
I know that they use like access to justice, like per se, like the same sentence.
Okay, so it's like, because I
Access
want
a
to
la
connect the two
justicia, like,
ideas. When you say, for example, to share empiric knowledge, right, the access to justice, this
for
feels like
the access to justice, maybe it's better.
okay, yes, exactly. Or you have another alternative here to see if you want. Empiric knowledge, if you want to give a final clarification that explains or better makes understand what you mean by the empiric knowledge, you can use colon. Okay, and after the colon, you can give the final clarification, the access to justice. Now it's better because if you only have knowledge and then the access to justice, it feels like something is missing over there. Okay, with that colon, you clarify that this is clarification for the previous statement, and that's better. Okay, just that one. I don't know if you have any questions, Lucy.
No, Professor. Thank you.
Good. Very good. No, you're welcome. There you go. So work on that, please, girls. Again, this is only going to be once a week because I know it takes time. I know it's not entertaining for some of you just to watch what we're doing, right? But if you take advantage and you're listening what I'm saying, you can use that information, okay, for future writing exercises. But let's continue. Yes,
sorry,
tell me,
Professor. Could you share again, please, the fanboys rules? I love that.
Yes, of course. Actually, I was prepared for that one, and I'm going to share way more than that in this course and the next course if we're together. I'm going to share a lot of rules for writing. And I actually uploaded already the fanboys rules in Lucia. If you go to Unity 1 and go to Practice 1, here you have a PDF with all the fanboys and how to use them. Okay, the meaning of them, and you have one example using those fanboys.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
Good.
Professor.
Very good. No, you're welcome. There you go. And I'm also going to give you access to other presentations to use transitional words, to use the colon, semicolon, dashes, and all those punctuation rules so that you can improve your writing skills. Okay. Now we're going to start with this one. We have the time, and it's more than enough. You're going to see to use these words. So first I want to ask you, and the question is going to be for you this time, Micaela. Micaela, in what situations do you use the words neither and either? What do you say? Oh, sorry.
Neither. It's I'm sorry, I am not sure how to explain.
What about either? Any of those words? Try to, if you don't, perhaps you don't get the idea of how to explain, you can try to give me one example of using any of those two words, either or neither. Or you can give me just the idea of what you feel it's used for.
mm,
We can start like this. For example, neither. Do you feel that this is an affirmative or a negative word?
Neither is a negative form and either is affirmative form, I think.
Okay, yes, in some contexts, yes, in some contexts, both are going to be negative. But in some list of words, for example, either is going to be affirmative and neither is going to be negative. That is correct. And what about so and to? Are both positive, negative? What do you say?
So it's like because of that. Two is like also.
Okay, okay, good. The last question. If sometimes neither and either are the same, both can be negative. Just what you think, okay? What do you think is the difference between neither and either when both are negative?
I understand that is the context of the sentence. Um, Neither is like um, well, often I use like ninguno.
Good. And what about either? What do you think about either?
Well, well, in Spanish I use like incluso.
All right, yes, in a certain context, that's correct. When you have a list of words with or, it's also valid to have that translation. Okay, but we're going to be more precise in a minute, Micaela. Thank you very much. I'm going to complement this one with you, please, Nazarena. What else can you tell me about these words? Mainly about neither and either, Nazarena. What do you know about them?
Okay, about neither, you can use neither when it's a negative sentence or negative, you want to say that you don't like something that the other person don't like too. Either is when it's positive.
Okay, good. And if I ask you to give me one example, try to give me one using any of them, Nazarena, neither or either. What example could you give me? Anything that comes to your mind.
I can say I don't like pizza, and the other person can say I do neither.
Okay, good. I think we're working good. We're only going to correct the order of the words, but I think we're following a good logic in Nazarena. Thank you. Good. Good. That's a good logic. And again, it's correct, but just the order is going to be different. And we're going to learn that now.
I think as
And
do I neither? I think I don't remember.
close, close, very close to that one. Okay, just one more change and it's going to be correct. But what you're saying is correct. And you're using an affirmative idea with neither, but it's going to be negative, right? The meaning is going to be negative. So good, very good. And one more, and it's going to be for you, perhaps, Karen. Also, what else can you tell me? Do you agree with your partners? Do you have anything else to add about mainly neither and either? Because I know that we can understand so and too, all right? But what about neither and either?
Well, when we talk about either, for example, if we talk about two people, and we use either, I think that the meaning is when one of these, of one of, I don't know, people one, person one or person two, is, I don't know how to explain.
No, you're doing good. You're showing options, and it's good. Try to
Yeah.
keep going. You can try to give me one example, perhaps, if it helps.
Okay. Okay. Either Maria. No, I don't know how to explain it, how to. Okay. Either Maria or Mario. Pick up the phone. Maybe I don't know. It's the correct.
Yes, it's an interesting example, and it is correct. Either one person or the other person did one action, right? Picked up the phone, and that has to be in past, right? Good. It's correct, Karen. It's correct, and you're going to see that is not only with people, actually with any options that you have, and it can be at the beginning, as you're saying, or it can be even at the end as objects. All right, but what you said is correct. That's a correct example, Karen. Thank you. And the last one with you, actually one more, it's going to be Lucia, please. What else can you add? Your partners gave interesting examples. Going to make some corrections, but in general, they were very good. But is there anything else that you can add to neither and either?
Maybe when you have, when we use for an option, for example, it's more or less like Karen says, like, for example, which kind of coffee or which type of coffee do you want? And then you have two, for example, two options for choose, and you can say either is fine.
Very good. And you can say to that one, just either one, right? Either one is fine or either one works. Okay, but good, correct. When any option is going to work for you, you can use either, right? Great. There you go. Thank you, girls. Now, here we're actually going to see one usage of the four of them. Okay, but what you were saying is correct. I just want to clarify that one because, again, this lesson is going to be very simple because we are only going to pay attention to one usage of each. But remember that so can be an intensifier, right? For adjectives. This is so interesting. That's so beautiful. So can be a coordinated conjunction for consequence, right? So I did that, comma, so this is the consequence. Right? And so can be to initiate conversations or to initiate an idea that is not related to anything specific. It's just something that comes to your mind, right? So what do we do, right? So those are some usages for so. To is easy because it's for what we're going to learn now, and you know, right? For agreement, to show similarity, and it's also to give emphasis, a negative emphasis for adjectives, right? Or adverbs. That's too much. That's too hard. That's too easy. Okay. Neither, as you were saying, negative ideas. And what you were saying, Karen and Lucia, and actually all of you, it's correct. You can say, for example, I don't want neither, right, that pasta nor the coffee or nor the fish, right? So I don't want neither this nor that. So usually you use neither and nor together, okay? Not or, neither nor. And it's going to be either or, and it's for affirmative, right? So this is going to be, as you were saying, sometimes for negative ideas. So I don't want neither this nor that. Or this can be in the sense that Karen and Lucia were saying in affirmative ideas. I want either go to the party or stay home. Okay, it doesn't matter. Both of them work for me, right? So in this idea, you have two options that you don't want, and here you have two options that you want. Here, it doesn't matter which option it is, you don't want, all right? You don't want them. And here the same, it doesn't matter what option it is, both of them are good for you. right? So that's going to be, but besides that, it's going to be for agreement, right? So and to is for affirmative agreement, neither and either is for negative agreement. Okay, so let's take a look at that. That's going to be the first idea. And this is going to be for you, please, Micaela. Let's read the entire slide. What do you say?
Okay. What do you say? Someone said that they like pasta. How do you show agreement with that idea? You also like pasta. Someone else said that they don't drink beer. How do you show agreement with that idea? You don't like beer.
Good. So how do you say that, Micaela? Imagine we're having a conversation and I tell you, hey, I like pasta. How do you reply to that? Because you also like pasta, but how do you say that in other words?
I like pasta too.
Good. That's one option. Good. And the next option says, I don't like beer. So how do you show agreement with that idea?
Well, I use me too.
Okay, so in that negative, you also use me too?
Sometimes I think.
Okay, we're going to verify, but it's good. The first one is correct. The second one we're going to verify. All right, good. Thank you. Let's go to the introduction, and this is for you, please, Natalie.
Okay, introduction. These words can be used to show agreement with an affirmative or negative idea by following a specific order using the auxiliary verb and the subject. For affirmative ideas, so, to. For negative ideas, neither, either.
Thank you, Nazarena. Now, again, I told you this lesson is going to be very short because if you understand those 4 words and how to show agreement with affirmative ideas and with negative ideas, then you know everything you need to know in this lesson. Okay, so agreement for affirmative ideas, so and to. Agreement for negative ideas, neither and either. But how? Before going to the next part, Micaela gave us one example that was correct, but we're going to make that even shorter. She said, right, I like pasta, comma, too, which is correct. But there's a short way and a formal way to use to and so. Who can tell me one more time, how is that way? I'm going to say the idea one more time. I like pasta. So how do you show agreement with me? And you can answer, okay, any of you, Karen, Lucia, Micaela, Nazarena, how do you show agreement with me using so or to, but in a formal way and in a short way? What do you say? And one more time, the idea is I like pasta.
Go, Karen. You were
No, continue.
Okay, Professor, I don't know if it's good, but I don't know if it's formal. Me too. Huh.
Yeah, it is correct, but it is informal.
Yeah,
exactly. It's informal. It is correct for speaking, of course, if you say me too, and everybody's going to say me too, right? But yes, it is informal. There's one more way to use to make it formal, and in order not to repeat the complete sentence. What could it be?
Teacher, with to or with so?
With any of those, so or to, or both if you want.
Maybe with so, I don't know if it's correct. So I don't know.
Close, we're close. You're missing only one word, but that's the logic. With so is inversion, with to is normal order. You're only missing one word, Karen. It's correct.
No,
you're missing one.
I am. I don't know.
Close, but in my sentence, do we have the verb to be? Remember, it's I like pasta. So if we don't have the verb to be, what do we use when we don't have the verb to be?
The auxiliary.
Good. So how would it be?
So I do.
Close. Work with inversion. Invert everything. It's okay. We start with so. Do I.
So, okay.
So do I. If you don't say so do I, it's going to be incorrect. All right. Of course, again, me too is good, but it's informal. So do I is formal. So is always inverted. After so, you use the auxiliary, and after that you use the subject. And of course, if it's you, you're going to say, so do I. And what about to? It's almost the same, but it's in normal order. Who wants to try with to? It's exactly the same, but normal order. Let's try with you. And Michaela, what do you say?
I do too.
I do too.
So I
Exactly.
like to.
I do too. It's enough because it's affirmative. So it's enough if you mention just the auxiliary. What you said in your answer, Michaela, was correct. I like pasta too. It's perfect. But here we're practicing short formal answers. So it's so do I and I do too. All right, so let's go to that part first. Then we're going to go to negative. Here, let's read just to complement this idea. Karen, let's read affirmative ideas, please.
Okay. If one agrees with an affirmative statement, there are two words that we can use, so and to. The order of the statement which shows agreement is different in both cases. Let's analyze them.
Good. So this is the first one, right? And again, it's not always going to be so do I. It depends on the verb that you're using. If it's simple present, you say do. If it's simple past, you use did. If it's present perfect, you use have. If it's future, simple future, you use will. If it's future with be going to, you use be, right? Anytime you have be, you only use be. If you don't have be, you have to pay attention to the auxiliary. Okay, so I like pizza, so do I, right? What if I change that? What if I say again, I went to the party? Okay, if I say I went to the party in Nazarena, how do you agree with me using this structure with the idea I went to the party?
So when I.
Close. Remember that we don't use the verb when we have another verb that is not the verb to be. We use the auxiliary. What is the auxiliary of the sentence I went
So
to
did
the party?
I.
So did I. Exactly. Very good. So did I. Thank you, Nazarena. What about if I say I have done it before? I've done it before. Okay, I'm going to contract it. I've done it before. And that's for you, Michaela. If I say I've done it before, what is the agreement with that?
So don't I?
Remember, you need to use the same structure. So at the beginning, then the auxiliary, and then the subject. Okay, and again, the complete sentence is I have done it before.
So have I?
So have I. Correct. Correct. Thank you, Michaela. So if we're going to be contracting, right, you need to pay attention. If the verb is in the participle form, done, it means that the I've, it's I have. Right, good. So have I. An easy one, this can be for anybody. No, actually, Lucia, if I say, I will start tomorrow, how do you agree with me using so?
So will I.
So will I. Correct. Thank you. And the last one for you, Karen, if I say, I was sick, how do you agree with I was sick?
So was I?
So was I. Because it's the verb to be, and whenever you have the verb to be, you only repeat the verb to be. Okay, so that's an easy trick, right? If you see the verb to be, if you hear the verb to be, use the verb to be in the inversion. If you don't listen to the verb to be, analyze what is the auxiliary. The auxiliaries are usually going to be do, does, did, have, has, had, or the modals will, would, should, can, could, etc. Right? Those are always going to be the auxiliaries. So that's the first one. And the second one is just as easy as this one. This is the structure, right? Easy. So plus the auxiliary verb plus the subject, right? And to is exactly the same, just it's in normal order, using, again, only the auxiliary. Me too, again, it's valid, but it's informal. The formal way of me too is this one. I do too, I am too, I have to, I will too, all right, and so on and so forth. And the idea is the same. All right, now if you have questions about this one, please, you're going to let me know. With the same, let's just verify with, because we have the time. Yes, I'm going to start with you this time, Karen. If I say again, she's been, all right, she's been to Europe twice. She's been to Europe twice. How do you agree with that one?
You can.
Okay, one more time. Yes. Is there a problem with my connection or what happened, Karen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Let me disconnect this one just in case to be sure. Okay, but how can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yes.
Okay, so the sentence is, she's been to Europe before. She's been to Europe before. How do you agree with that idea?
We using two or so.
Only two. In this case, only two.
I've been to.
Close, but what is the auxiliary in that statement, Karen? I'm contracting. Okay, I'm contract. There's the verb to be, but there is.
I have to.
I have to. Correct. She's been is she has been to Europe before, and because of that we use have. Right? I have to. Good. The next one again, very close to that one. See, if I say, all right, they studied for 5 nights in a row. Okay, they studied for 5 nights in a row. What is the agreement with that one?
I have to.
Close, but one more time, it's only going to be they studied. There's not going to be they've studied, only they studied. Okay, so one more time.
I did too.
I did too, exactly. They studied for 5 nights in a row. That's going to be I did too. Great, thank you. Yeah,
Professor,
tell me, Lucy.
I had a question. You say about the verb be. If it's the verb be, we have to maintain the verb be with
yes,
auxiliary.
if you see the verb to be, but it's not joined by any auxiliary, okay? And if it's at the beginning of your idea, for example, when you have the verb to be in the simple present with be, right? I am, I don't know, right? I am a teacher. Then in simple past with the verb to be, I was at the park, right? Also, when you have the future with be going to, I am going to travel. So if you see, and actually that's a good question because I didn't clarify something. If you see the verb to be, right, just right after the subject, use that verb to be. Because you can find the verb to be, as in the example with Karen, after the auxiliary and conjugate it in the past participle, right? But there you don't take into account that verb to be because it's already conjugated for one auxiliary, that is have, right? Have or has. So one more time, the rule or the recommendation, if you see the verb to be next to the subject, only use the verb to be in these situations, okay? I am good, so am I, right? I was good, so was I. All right, so you only use the verb to be. But if you find the verb to be conjugated with another auxiliary, for example, I will be, there you don't use the verb to be, right? You use will. If you say I have been, you don't use the verb to be, you use have, right? So whatever comes after the subject, that's the word that you have to use in your agreement, okay? Either is the verb to be or any other model or auxiliary that you find. Okay, I don't know if that helps, Lucia.
Yes, Professor. And we have to maintain, in our case, for example, I am tired. I'm tired. I can say I am too, right?
I am too, exactly. And you have the option, of course, of saying the entire idea. If it's short, of course, there's no problem, right? You can say, I am tired too. But if you have long sentences and you want to be formal, you don't need to say anything else but the verb to be in that case and to. I am tired, I am too. And that's more than enough.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
good. No, you're welcome. There you go. So I think that this is kind of clear. We're going to go now to the next part. And finish today. Neither and either is for negative ideas. And you're going to try to work with me first in Nazarena. If I say this, and again, we didn't cover this yet, but if I say the opposite, Nazarena, I don't like pasta. How can you agree with me, Nazarena, using any of these words, either or neither?
Neither do I.
Okay, good, very good. That's great. With neither, you also invert like with so. So it's going to be inversion plus auxiliary plus subject. Neither do I. And you don't say in negative because already ni with this n, this is negative. Okay, so you say that in an affirmative way, but the meaning is negative. Good. What about either? Let's try that one with you and Michaela. How do you agree? And either, just to tell you the clue, works like to. So I don't like pasta. What is the agreement with either?
I don't either.
Correct. Very good. There you go. Thank you, Michaela. That's correct. I don't either. Okay, good. So you got it. So and neither work with inversion. So do I, neither do I. But so is for affirmative ideas, neither is for negative ideas. I do too, and I don't either. Because either is negative only when the idea before either is negative. If not, I think the examples, right? I want either this or that, it's affirmative. So you have to make negative by adding the auxiliary conjugated in the negative way. In this case, don't. All right. I believe that you have some questions. Let me know, please, if you have any questions.
Yes, Professor. For neither and either is the same for verb to be also, right?
Correct. You follow the exact same rule. If you say the verb to be, or if you see the verb to be, immediately the verb to be. If you don't see it, you look for auxiliaries. So this is the structure. Yes, let's read this to complement and to be sure that this is clear. And we're going to read it. Also, I'm going to work with you one more time, please. Nazarena, let's read neither, please.
Okay, neither. Neither is used to agree with a negative statement. Mark, I don't like classical music. Fred, neither do I.
Very good, right? It's what you told me. You only invert neither plus auxiliary plus I. And as Lucia, right, reminded us, if you have the verb to be, only use the verb to be. This is the structure, neither, auxiliary verb, and subject. And then you have either, and this is also for you, please, Michaela, either.
Either is used to agree with a negative statement. Mark, I don't like classical music. Fred, I don't either.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Michaela. And there you have, and those are some ideas. And here you have a lot of examples, right? And this is also something you can take a look, girls, Karen, Lucia, Michaela, and Nazarena. If you have simple present, use do or does, right? If you have the verb to be, use the verb to be. If you have the present continuous, also use the verb to be because the verb to be is next to the subject. If you have the simple past, did. If you have the simple past with the verb to be, use the verb to be, right? And you have the same for perfect tenses. You don't have the verb to be, you have an auxiliary. So use have or has. If you have future, use will. And if you have modals, use the modals. Okay, but that's it. I'm just going to ask you for one more example, right, to each one of you. And with that, we're going to finish. All right, I'm going to start with you, Karen, once again, please. I'm going to change this one just in case. And this, as you can see, this is the informal way of saying that. Me too for affirmative, me neither for negative. But remember, they are correct, but they are informal. Okay, and here, as you can see, they are very informal. So be careful when you use those in formal communication, letters, or your tests. All right, so Karen, the one for you is in negative is easy because you're always going to have the auxiliary in negative, right? So for example, she hasn't finished that assignment yet. How do you agree with that one, Karen?
And I need to use neither or either.
Let's use both, please, to finish today.
Okay. Okay, with neither has I. No, neither have I.
Correct.
And with either I haven't either.
Good. Neither have I, and our connection is still having some problems, but you can hear me now, right, Karen?
Yes, right now, yes.
Okay, good. Your examples were correct. Very good. Thank you,
Okay.
Karen. The same with you, please, Lucia. We're going to use just future, all right? I won't travel tomorrow. How can you agree with that negative idea with neither and either, Lucia?
Sorry, teacher, could you repeat your example, please?
Yes, I won't travel tomorrow.
Neither won't I.
And in that one, remember, my idea is in negative, right? Will. The negative of will is won't. But remember that with neither, you use the affirmative. No, with neither, it's the meaning is negative, but let's remember the rule. The conjugation of the auxiliary is in affirmative only. So okay. How would it be?
Neither will I.
Neither will I, correct. And what about either? How do you use the same with either?
Either will I.
But remember, with either is not inversion. Either is the classical form, the traditional order.
Either I will.
No, with neither, remember with either, no inversion. So it's going to be like this: subject, auxiliary negative, and either.
Okay, I won't either.
Exactly. Okay, so we're going to repeat one more time. My idea was, I won't travel tomorrow. It means that if you want to use neither, you use inversion. Neither will I.
Neither will I.
But it's inversion with affirmative. But if you want to use either, it's going to be normal sentence order. I won't either.
Yeah. Okay,
so one more time, just to clarify that one, please, Lucia. One more with you, and it's going to be this one. Again, analyze the idea of the verb to be. I am not going to travel tomorrow. Okay, I am not going to travel tomorrow. So with both, what do you say? How do you agree with me using either and neither?
Neither going to I.
But remember, if you have the verb to be, you only use the verb to be, right?
And with this going to is not a.
But remember, if the verb to be is next to the subject, you only use the verb to be. It doesn't matter if after the verb to be you have be going to, or if after the verb to be you have continuous form. If the verb to be is just after the subject, you have to use the verb to be. All right, so that's an interesting example over there. So how would it be? I am not going to travel tomorrow.
Neither am I.
Correct. Neither am I. And what about the either?
I'm not either.
I'm not either. Correct. So good. It's good that we work with that one, Lucia. So it means that it doesn't matter if the expression is be going to. If the verb to be is just next to the subject, you're only going to use the verb to be. Okay, it only changes when you have another word before the verb to be. But if the word is after the verb to be, only use the verb to be. All right, good, perfect. Thank you, Lucia. One with you and one with you, Nazarena. We finish with you first, Micaela, please. My example is, I wasn't at the party yesterday. I wasn't at the party yesterday. How do you agree with either and neither, please?
Neither was I.
Correct.
I wasn't either.
I wasn't either. Correct. Exactly. Thank you, Micaela. It can be confusing, right? I know it can be confusing having these changes, inversion, no inversion, affirmative, negative, but get used to that, okay? If you say neither, don't use negative, use the affirmative form of the auxiliary, inversion. If you use either, use the normal order plus the negative form of the auxiliary, okay? Have that in mind. And the last one, please, for you, Nazarena, and my idea is, they didn't finish. All right, one more time. They didn't finish their tasks. They didn't finish their tasks.
Neither they did.
And in that one, remember that you are agreeing with that one, so you have to speak like in first person. Okay, your agreement is going to be like first person. So they didn't finish their tasks. How is it going to be with neither and either, Nazarena?
Neither did I. And I didn't either.
Correct. Very good. Thank you. Very good. So, general question for all of you. We finish here. Let me know, please, if you have any questions. Here, I'm, as always, giving you 3 links, or sometimes I give you more, to practice this. All right? But all in all, if you want to practice, take a look at these charts, please. Remember that it's always going to be neither do I don't either. Neither am I am not either, right? Neither did I, or I didn't either. It's always going to be like that. And the same with affirmative. So it's going to be so do I, or I do too. So did I, or I did too. So am I, or I am too. Right? So they follow the same structure. Just be careful with the negative forms, please, because either and neither are special. So pay attention to that one. And that's my only recommendation there. So do you have any questions or comments before finishing? Because with that, we are finishing the 2nd lesson and we're finishing the class today. No? All right. Take a look at that. Remember that this is part of what you do on Pearson. Don't forget, please, to take a look at that. You have until Friday, again, to finish with the assignments. Okay, so thanks for being here, girls. I'm sending the survey so that you can answer to the questions, please. It's over there. I'll see you tomorrow to continue with your conversations. And on Friday, we're going to work with a new lesson. And perhaps please try to be the 4 of you, because we're going to try to organize 2 groups so that you can have a short debate. Okay, you're going to have your own rooms to organize your ideas, and you're going to have a short debate on Friday. Okay, but that's it on my side. Have a good night and see you tomorrow. Thanks for being here.
Good night, teacher.
Bye, teacher. Good night,
Thank you.
girls.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Good night.